Have you ever seen a movie so bad it made you question your life choices? You're not alone. Hollywood churns out its fair share of duds, but here's the kicker. When a film bombs, they often blame us, the audience. It's like blaming the chef when you don't like the biryani. It just doesn't make sense. We've all heard the excuses. The audience wasn't ready for this, or it was too intellectual for them. These are just fancy ways of saying, we messed up, but we're too proud to admit it. This blame game is not just lazy, it's insulting. It shows a lack of respect for the very people who keep the industry afloat. It's time to address the elephant in the room, or should I say, the superhero flop in the multiplex. It's time to talk about Hollywood's blame game and why it needs to stop. Blaming the audience is a tale as old as time, or at least as old as Hollywood. When a big-budget film tanks, studios scramble for a scapegoat. And who better to blame than the people who didn't show up? It's a classic case of deflection. Instead of acknowledging their own shortcomings, studios point fingers at the audience. They claim that viewers are too easily distracted by TikTok, too obsessed with superhero movies, or just not smart enough to understand their artistic vision. This blame game is a convenient way for Hollywood to avoid accountability. It's easier to blame the audience than to admit that a film was poorly written, poorly directed, or just plain boring. But this tactic is not only disingenuous, it's also incredibly short-sighted. In the long run, blaming the audience only serves to alienate them. It creates a sense of distrust between filmmakers and moviegoers, and that's not good for anyone. Remember that superhero flick that promised to be the cinematic event of the year? It crashed harder than a speeding superhero tripping over a banana peel. And who did the filmmakers blame for its failure? You guessed it, the audience. Some claimed that was too complicated for viewers, others argued that audiences weren't ready for its bold vision. But let's be honest, the film was a mess. The plot was convoluted, the CGI was unconvincing, and the less said about Ezra Miller the better. Instead of acknowledging these flaws, the studio chose to blame the audience. This was not only unfair, it was also incredibly tone-deaf. It showed a complete lack of understanding of why people go to the movies. People don't go to the movies to be lectured or confused. They go to be entertained, they go to escape from reality for a few hours. And, when a film fails to deliver on that promise, it's not the audience's fault. Section 4, The Batman's Triumph, A Dark Knight Rises Above. Now let's talk about a superhero film that got it right. This gritty reboot was a critical and commercial success. And guess what? The filmmakers didn't blame the audience for its success. Worked because it respected its audience. It delivered a well-crafted story with compelling characters and stunning visuals. It didn't insult our intelligence with a convoluted plot, or bombard us with unnecessary special effects. The film's success was a testament to the power of good storytelling. It proved that audiences are hungry for quality content, even within the often formulaic superhero genre. The contrast between and is stark. One film blamed the audience for its failure while the other respected its audience and reaped the rewards. The lesson here is clear: make a good film, and the audience will come. Section 5. Hollywood's Ego Problem, a story older than time. Hollywood's habit of blaming the audience for movie flops is symptomatic of a larger problem, an ego the size of a Godzilla. The industry is notorious for its inflated sense of self-importance. It's an industry where success is celebrated with Oscars and after-parties, while failure is swept under the rug faster than you can say, box office bomb. This aversion to failure prevents growth. It creates an environment where taking risks is discouraged, and originality is sacrificed at the altar of profit. It's why we're stuck in a cycle of endless sequels, reboots, and superhero movies. Blaming the audience is just another way for Hollywood to protect its fragile ego. It's a way of saying we are infallible, we could never make a mistake, it must be your fault for not appreciating our genius. But here's the thing, audiences are not stupid. We know a good film when we see one, and we're not afraid to call out a bad one, no matter how big the budget or how famous the director. Section 6. Respect the audience. A plea for better films. So, dear Hollywood, here's a radical idea. Respect your audience. Treat us like intelligent viewers who are capable of appreciating good storytelling. Stop blaming us for your mistakes, and start taking responsibility for your work. Make films that are original, thought-provoking, and entertaining. Films that challenge us, move us, and stay with us long after the credits roll. Don't be afraid to take risks, to push boundaries, and to tell stories that matter. The audience is not your enemy. We are your partners in this cinematic journey. We want to be entertained, enlightened, and moved by your work, but we also want to be respected. So, give us films that are worthy of our time, our money, and our attention. In other words, stop blaming us and start making better movies.